Hello, everyone. We'll be getting started soon. If you could begin to sign in the chat, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I'll answer your question. I was a sales. Stone Cold. Stevie was there. Stevie described the carnage. Well, there were a couple of broken eggs.
We're going to ask you to place yourself on mute, please.
It was shattered. The windshield, the egg.
Please remember to keep yourselves on mute if you're not speaking. Thank you so much.
Rita, do you see that okay?
I do. Thank you, Esther. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. If you can sign into the chat with your name and the name of your student and email address, we would appreciate it. Welcome to the HSA meeting this evening. We'll be starting shortly. Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting shortly. Ms. Harrington, are you here?
I don't see her, Rita, her name popping up yet.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if she was signed in like on her phone and not in her name. Thank you. Thank you. If you have not signed in, we ask that you sign in. Please put your name and your email address, as well as your student's name and their class number. All righty, I see Ms. Harrington has arrived. I think she still might be adjusting. I don't see ability to speak yet, so she might be still transitioning. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rita Robinson. I am filling in for Leslie Medley today. I'm the Vice President on the HSA board. And tonight we're going to have a presentation for our school update by AP Teresa Harrington. President Davis is not able to be with us tonight, but AP Harrington will be giving us our school update. And we also have a special invited guest, Dr. Ann Colley, joining us tonight with a special presentation. We'll be beginning shortly, just as soon as we receive confirmation that Ms. Harrington is ready to provide the school update.
I am here and I am ready.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington. We are in your hands.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody. My name, for those of you who don't know, is Teresa Harrington. I'm one of the assistant principals at Central High School and am excited tonight to join you via Zoom. And I have to tell you, I'm a little out of practice being on Zoom. So please, I apologize for my tardiness coming to this meeting, but I was waiting in a different waiting room. So here I am now. So we'll switch that. Perfect. So just to catch you up, President Davis, sends her regards, but unfortunately she was double booked this evening. So I just have a few slides to go through with you. This is just a couple of pictures of our showcase that we've had this month. From AASU. It was a spectacular event. They even did a night event and it was well attended. The kids just loved getting up there on that stage and did an amazing job. We also have Multicultural Week that begins next week, followed by our Asian and Pacific Islander Showcase in April. So if you are available, there will be evening performances. We invite all to come out and see. Our hallways, as we speak, are being transformed, and the decorations that they are hanging that showcase all of the different cultures that we encompass at Central High School is absolutely amazing. And this year, I think will be our best one yet. Next slide. Some of the things that are going on, you have to love Mr. Horowitz. He has doing the battle of the classes. And this morning he had out on the patio, they were doing Frisbee in the can, and they were doing cornhole and something else. Slam ball with all of the classes, which was interesting. Last Friday, we had the basketball game where the seniors beat the juniors and the seniors beat the faculty at a buzzer beater. Mr. Sherwood was going up for a 3-pointer to tie the game, and it's clearly missed, and the kids were absolutely hysterical with jumping up and down that they have beat the faculty. This Friday, we have soft hop at the Arts Ballroom. I talked about the Multicultural Week. Then we are going to zoom right into spring break, which I think is a needed break by all of our youngsters and our teachers. We will again be putting a hold on assignments being done during spring break so that everybody can do a complete reset and come back April 1st and be ready to complete the year strong. Because as you know, April seems very short to me. And then May hits our testing. So we go into AB, IB, Keystone, you name it, everything's thrown into that May. Our term 3 ends the day we get back from spring break, which is April 1st, which is kind of a weird time that the district selected that date. Report card conferences will be April 4th and 5th, and we will be sending more information out about that probably right before we go on break. And then we also have the API showcase, which we have scheduled the 16th through the 19th. So busy, we are busy. One of the things that we also need your help with is attendance. You can see from the breakdown, and it's probably not too surprising that our freshmen are the most well-attended class, and my seniors have definitely got some senioritis in there at about 84.3%. So anything you can do to get our youngsters out of bed and into our building on time would be greatly appreciated, because we don't want anybody to miss any events that are coming up. So we want their attendance not to be an issue. So we would appreciate any help that you can get. Okay. This is also just a reminder that if your child is absent or has to be absent, please have them bring a note in to their homeroom teacher so that we can adjust their attendance. And at the bottom, that the excused absences are for student appointments, if a youngster gets sick, a pre-approved college visit, and any family emergencies will also be marked as excused absences. But please make sure that you're sending a note in for your youngsters so that we can have correct attendance on our part. Here, and this is like so tiny, so I know I have trouble seeing this, but hopefully you can blow it up on your end when you get to it. These are just the spring sports that are taking off as we speak, from baseball, softball, track and field is going, lacrosse is going, and you can see there's tennis. So there's lots of activities and a lot of busyness as we finish out this year. So please come out, and you can see our calendar. It's linked in our Central High calendar. So if you want to attend any of these events, they are all listed on that calendar. Okay. This is also just a plug, since we're coming to the end of the year, that May 6th, if our students have not completed by January 3rd their community service, the deadline for them to do that is May 6th. If they did the 15 hours, that's great, or the 25 hours for 11th and 12th grade prior to January 3rd, then they should be in good shape. If not, they have until May 6th. They do receive a half a credit for this course, and it is on the child's transcript. So please make sure that they are doing community service and that their reflections are due to their class sponsor. If there are any students that are still in need of community service hours, they can feel free to email their sponsors or the administrator in charge of that grade, and we will certainly help them with some hours in the building or some suggestions as to where to go to finish that out.
Thank you,
And
Ms.
that's the
Harrington.
end of my
Are there
update.
any, thank you. Are there any questions? I see Jamie has here. Do we have to send a note in addition to the signed form for a pre-approved college visit?
Yeah, so there's a form that they can pick up from Mr. Horowitz, and they can bring that back and show the homeroom teacher that that's where they are, and that should suffice.
Okay, thank you. And is there any update?
Ooh.
Graduation?
I was wondering if anybody was going to ask me about graduation. So we are a go for graduation. We will have graduation practice on June 10th at 9 a.m. at the Kimmel Center. Graduation will be on the 12th at 10 a.m. sharp. I know the hot topic button is live streaming and tickets. We have entered into an agreement with the Kimmel Center to live stream graduation this year. So they will be 100% responsible for making sure that that gets into everybody's homes and spaces and places that they need to do. It was a labor of love getting a quote that was reasonable enough that we could undertake. So that is part of our contract this year. So that is great. I know last year that we had people and parents standing in the lobby in the atrium down there. They will not allow that this year. So if you don't have a ticket, you will have to stream it from another place other than their lobby because of security reasons. The next question that I'm sure somebody's going to ask is, what about tickets, right? The tickets right now, students are guaranteed 3 tickets with a possibility of a 4th ticket. And the reason that we can't commit to everybody having a 4th ticket, there's a couple of things that come into play with that. Last year, we had more students than ever put on stage based on the configuration at the Kimmel for the show that was coming in after us. So when I was down there leaving our deposit on Monday, they are counting the seats for me so that I will have an exact number so that then we can push it out to all of you and saying, here's where it is. One of the questions last year was, can we give the tickets out sooner? They are live tickets. They will not do electronic tickets. And we don't hand them out to the kids because they are kids. And we don't want them to lose those tickets. because they are not numbered seats. So I can't say like, Miss Robinson, you had section 101 seats 1, 2, and 3 and reprint them. They are generically just based on tiers of the Kimmel Center. So you get 3 tickets. And when you get there, the section is open and you come in and you find 3 seats and you're on your way, and or 4 if you get a 4th ticket. So we will still be giving them out before graduation. Probably if the 10th is practice and we aren't on campus, probably the 11th when they get their caps and gowns, which is one of the last things they get. And they'll probably get caps and gowns and tickets. But all senior activities will be spelled out as to what they're doing each day. There is a picnic, there is practice. Mr. Horowitz likes to throw in a tree planting every now and then. But all of those things will be spelled out so that you can see each day what those events are.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington. I am so excited that live stream is made possible. I'm not a senior parent, but I'm excited for them to be able to share the experience with extended family members that aren't able to get a ticket and those that are out of town. So thank you on behalf of parents for making this happen, because that was definitely a lot of feedback from last year. Are there any other questions? I'm trying to go to the chat now to see if there are any other questions. Ms. Harrington will be leaving the call. I know President Davis is usually on throughout the tenure, so if anyone has any questions, you could drop them in the box, or you can also send them to us and we will get you a response.
Need the bathroom.
And if all hearts are clear, thank you, Ms. Harrington. We're going to
Great.
transition.
And feel free to email me at tharrington@phila.sd if you have any additional questions that might come to you later as this meeting goes forward. I will, absolutely love to answer any questions. And again, we will, as soon as we have everything nailed down, we will push it out to all of you so that you all know what I know.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Today we have a special invited guest on behalf of the Anti-Racism Network Committee. We welcome Dr. Ann Colley into the space today. She is the CEO of A.L. Colley and Associates, and we're going to tell you a little bit about her, and we're also going to drop her biography in the chat for anyone that's interested to read furthermore. I certainly wouldn't be able to encompass everything that she does or her background in history. Esther, could you transition to the next slide for me, please? Thank you. She is a justice, equity, and anti-racism consultant and coach, an adjunct professor of over 20 years, and a family therapist. And she's here today to support our central families. Based off of what we've heard from the last year, there were some points that we thought we could really bring someone in to talk to our families, supporting and empowering our students, navigating difficult conversations and those that are racially charged as well, and addressing microaggressions in the classroom, clubs, and on teams. And so we welcome her into our space. Thank you for accepting our invitation, Dr. Colley. We look forward to having some dialogue with you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm always delighted when I get the opportunity to speak with parents, being a parent myself of a budding young adult, 24 years old. So I was not too long ago where many of you are. And so again, I am appreciative, and just a little bit beyond being a mother of a young male child. My dissertation was in child well-being. And so my thesis was a theology and theory and framework toward child-centered child well-being. And I created a framework around how we can include children in the dialogue of what it means to be for their well-being. So that was what my dissertation on. And so I've been working with families for many years as a therapist, as well as a consultant in schools and in my own practice. What I like to do is because oftentimes when we begin to have conversations around this, people's spidey senses and emotions and hearts begin to beat. So I would love for people to take a couple of deep breaths to try to leave whatever you came from out there and to just really be present to what we're going to discuss today. I say deep breaths because deep breaths are and have been known to, they calm us, right? And so I would love for us to be in a space where we can hear and take in what is being said so that we can dialogue around this space to help the children. What I'd like to do, Rita, do I have sharing capabilities?
Yes, you should be able to share.
Okay, great. I put together a short presentation that I want to talk through, but if people have questions as I am talking, I'm going to throw some questions out there. Please either raise your hand, put it in chat, and I'd like this to be not just didactic, but a conversation. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So after speaking with Rita, and as she noted, today we're talking about how to enable, how to help navigate, and how to support your children as they engage in conversations that may be difficult, whether that be with classmates and or faculty. How do you work with them and the faculty to navigate these conversations? I went to Central's website, and this was the mission that is on Central's website. And I highlighted several of the adjectives that I thought were important. Prepare, building based on diversity, wanting the children to contribute, to thrive in a heterogeneous world, to help them enable to be thoughtful leaders of their generation. And in order to do that, partly what we have to do as those of us who are called adults is that we must listen to the children. We must listen and we must support them in ways that they feel are helpful and not always necessarily the way that we feel is appropriate. So as part of that, there are some community agreements I would like you to consider and ponder, not only for the time we have, but also in the spaces inside of not only your homes, but also the central walls that the children are there most of the day. And that is, we want to be the model of change that we are asking the young people to be. We want there to be mutual respect for all parties. It's not just a one-way street. It's not that the children need to just simply respect us, but we also need to respect them. That there is a spirit of curiosity. So when someone is speaking, we are not waiting to take away their power, but to be curious about what is being said. And that occurs through what we call active listening, and that is listening to learn, not listening to debate. And then trust lived experience. And so there's almost nothing as equal to lived experience. No matter how much education one has, no matter how much someone can read about something or dialogue about something, it still does not trump someone's lived experiences. And so these are some agreements that I think would be helpful, again, in your homes, in this board, as well as inside of the school system. So how do we get there? How do we help our children to navigate these difficult conversations, whether they be around microaggressions, whether they be around the impact of words that are being said. How do we enable them to be able to talk to not only the staff, but also each other? And so in my experience, this really starts with where our minds are, right? Are we able to have what we call growth mindset versus fixed mindsets? Every day you see, whether it be in the news or talking to your friends or talking to family members, people who are not open to dialoguing in a way that creates community, that creates interpersonal relationships that are thriving. And so I encourage you, as you're thinking about how to support your children and how to support the children in your community, then not only do you teach them about growth mindsets, but you teach yourself about what it means. Am I really open to hearing others' points of views that may be different than my own? Am I open to learning about spaces and places and people that may be different from me? Or do I just roll with the biases and the preconceived notions and generalizations and stereotypes that I may have learned, whether it be from my friends or whether it be through media? So it's very important. And how do you know if you have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset? The first is that, like I said, that you are curious. That when someone says something, you do not automatically jump to assuming what you think they're saying versus asking the question, following up with a question to get further clarification, because words are relative. Does anyone know what I mean when I say words are relative? Anyone like to jump in?
I will. I'm not sure if this is, I don't know if this is what you mean, but one thing that I've noticed in my interactions with people, and especially with people of different ages, is that we hear words differently. They don't mean the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamie, for that. You hit it right on the head. That just because you think a word means a word does not mean that it means the same thing to the person that you're speaking to. And I'm always laughing when I'm talking to my son. I'm like, that doesn't mean that. I don't even know how y'all came up with that. Like, how did you come? That's not what that means. And they've created this whole language. They've taken the words that we understand and have created this whole new language. And so, and even it's so funny just to the other way around. So I'm an adjunct professor. I teach at Union Theological Seminary up in New York. And yesterday I teach communication. And yesterday we were having a dialogue, and one of the students, who is a Generation X, said, he said a colloquial from back in the day. It was something to the effect of, someone was saying something. He's like, oh man, you smacked me down with that. And the Generation Z was like, oh, I wasn't trying to be violent. And I was like, no, what that means is he learned something, right? So just all of our generations have ways in which we come up with things and words that mean certain things. So we always must understand that when we're speaking, that words are relative, and how you understand something doesn't mean that's how I understand something. And so not only do we need to teach our children that, we need to understand that ourselves as we are listening to our children, as we are trying to attempt to help them to navigate conversations with others who seem like they are like them, or even those who are different. The other thing around growth mindsets is that and we'll get to this in a second, is that we don't make assumptions, right? That just because I necessarily look like you does not mean that I understand where you're coming from. And so we need to give space to all people's thoughts, and we can only do that through curiosity and growth mindset. Oh, no, this is supposed to say comfortable with being uncomfortable, not uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. So we also need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Because these conversations and these dialogues, they take us to places that bring up emotions, that bring up preconceived stereotypes. And so being comfortable with being uncomfortable is also a way of also having a growth mindset. All right, I am going to stop here before I get into the next one. I see some things in the chat. Oh, that's people signing in. Okay, right. Jennifer, you are so right. Context matters. And then Denise says, related to your experience or thought or process. Absolutely. Context does matter. Absolutely. And we need to consider that as we are talking to each other. But I do also want to go back to what I said in that lived experience, right? And so in the context, in the space of context mattering, we also have to understand that people's lived experience are people's lived experiences, and you can't talk against what someone has lived based upon what you think they should understand or the way they should understand. Many years ago, I learned that sense isn't common. And what I mean by that is because we come from different cultures, and what one person thinks as common sense does not necessarily translate to everyone that you may encounter. And so again, making sure that you understand and are seeking to understand in dialogues and conversations. There was this question about microaggressions. You know, when we talk about these microaggressions or people's feelings getting hurt, people oftentimes find themselves becoming defensive, especially if it is around anything in regards to a marginalized and or ostracized group. People don't want to be considered one of those persons who are considered isms, right? I don't want to be considered that I'm sexist. I don't want to be considered that I'm homophobic. I don't want to be considered that I'm racist. And so microaggressions that I believe that the average person may find themselves doing are usually not intentional, because a lot of times people don't know what they don't know until they know it. And so with that, oftentimes people, when they are called in, and that's the other piece is that we want to make sure that we're not calling out people, that we're calling in people, because when we call in folks, we're calling them into a dialogue to improve the interpersonal relationship that we are having, to improve the culture, to improve the community. And so at Central, you know, I have lots of friends who have graduated from Central, and they are proud to say that they are from Central, and they come up and they tell you what their number is. And so it is a place that garners pride, but it is also a place that sometimes garners sadness because of some of the things that I have heard that have been experienced, but still pride. They are proud to say that they have graduated from Central. And so as your mission statement, and I pointed out some of the words, you're trying to enable and to grow and equip a group of young children to grow into budding adults to go out and make an impact on the world, to be purposeful in what they are doing. And so you do that through intentionality. And so this intentionality is being open to understanding that a person's intent does not trump how the impact is felt on the person who has experienced the microaggression. Right. And so oftentimes what will happen is that because someone doesn't want to be, quote, labeled something, they move into the amygdala part of their brain and they immediately become defensive, and then they sort of want to sweep how a person feels, because I didn't intend to hurt you. I didn't intend for you to take it that way. And again, just because you didn't intend to do something, if you didn't intend to shoot me, that's great, but I'm still bleeding. And we have to attend to my wound. We have to attend to the harm that I have felt, the harm that has been put on me, irrespective of whether or not your intent was not to harm me. And so here are some ways that one can do that. So we also must understand, again, that regardless of intent or whether actions or words were purposeful, the targeted or affected person is still harmed. That's why it's critical to prioritize impact and acknowledge the harm that was caused. And when you do that, you also will allow sort of to diffuse the energy around the harm when you acknowledge, you know what, I apologize for the harm, and I am willing and open to rectify, to restore what has been broken in this conversation. Let's see. Oh, come on. Don't do it. Zoom, after all these months, still doesn't let me use. All right, so here's some strategies for the children additional when they are dealing with this that you can go through. And Rita, if people want this, I can send it to you and you can send it out. It's not a problem. The entire presentation, if they want it, or pieces of it, I can do that.
Thank you.
We call this the speak up strategy. And the first step is to interrupt, right? So whether you are if we create a culture where people do not feel that they are alone, that those who are in, quote, power or have privilege walk in solidarity with people who may be feeling, right? It also helps to garner relate the culture that people feel that they can speak up. So first, you want to interrupt, teaching them to say things like, hey, you know what you just said was hurtful. And so it hit me in a way, right? So you want to question, help them to create open-ended questions that will allow the other person to be able to articulate, because again, words are relative, what they were trying to say, and or apologize if they were speaking either out of turn or out of even a level of lack of knowledge. Because we often, people just sometimes just speak. We also explain why a term or a phrase is offensive. Again, for as much as I want to say that people should know, oftentimes people don't know. And then the last part of the speak up strategy is to echo. If someone also speaks up against hate, thank her and reiterate. So having people who are in the community who walk in solidarity with whether that be a teacher, again, especially those who hold privilege. It could be an athlete. You know, athletes have a level of privilege that, quote, other students don't have. So helping others to advocate as well as to ally with each other are definitely good strategies to utilize and to teach students as they are moving along. All right. So how can we prioritize impact over intent and prevent harm? So again, here are some questions that you can teach your children to think about how they are speaking, what they are saying in the community, how their language is playing out, why jokes are not funny, why we should be thinking about the language that we are utilizing with each other. How do we make sure that we're not being insensitive to people? You know, high school can be a rough time because sometimes kids can be cruel, right? We know that bullying goes on, and oftentimes children won't come to their parents. They talk to their their classmates, and so if everyone is teaching their children these strategies as well as the ability to speak up and be allies for one another, that decreases the abilities for a particular person and or group to say the things that have harmful impact on a person and or a group of people. Let me go back. Are there any questions, thoughts around impact versus intent? The other strategy, the speak up strategy. I'm going to stop there for a second. Okay. No thoughts, questions, comments? So how do we all do this? How do we get to that space where we are open to dialoguing, open to being a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset? 20 plus years ago, I came across this book, and it's called The Four Agreements. It's actually a very short, small book. I think it costs about $5. And whether I'm working with organizations or I'm working with families or couples or individuals, this is a resource that I suggest to many people to become familiar with, to internalize what this book is attempting to help people navigate this thing called humanity. The Four Agreements, at the end of the day, we all must understand that the only person that we can control is ourselves. So I think first helping children to understand, and even your own self to understand, that you are only responsible for you. You have no control over what people do or don't do. You have no control over what people do or don't say. But you first have to start with yourself. So the Four Agreements, these author Ruiz asks persons to do is first to be impeccable with your word. And that means that if you are a person who wants people to consider you, you have to walk in consideration of others, right? You have to be congruent with that which you say you live by. Number two is we don't take things personal. Now, number two and number three usually are the toughest for people. So when I tell folks, You can't take things personally. Like, how can I not take things personal? They said it to me, so it is personal to me. But the literature shows, and so does the research show, that at the end of the day, that what you are experiencing from another, even though it is targeted towards you, really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what is going on inside of them, their own thoughts, their own schemas, and it has nothing to do with you. So when we talk about not taking it personal, what we mean is that most people's actions really are, it could be anyone, can be triggered at any time. And so you don't take it personal, because at the end of the day, by taking on their emotions, you aren't able to then control yourself. And at the end of the day, you're only able to control yourself. There's in the 12 steps, there's the serenity prayer that I utilize with all of my clients. And that is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, but to change the things that I can, right? And to the wisdom to know the difference. And then lastly is don't make assumptions. Not lastly, the third one is to make assumptions. Thank you, Denise. And that taking things personal and making assumptions typically are two sides of the same coin. And that is, I'm usually making assumptions about what you are saying and why you are saying it. That's why I take it personal, because I think it's about me. And we don't make assumptions because we really don't know what people are thinking. Even if we are interpreting their words, again, because words are relative, you're still making an assumption about those words if you haven't asked the questions around what those words mean. And so the courage to ask the questions and to call people in to be accountable to the words that they are saying, right, is the third agreement. And then lastly, we're all, again, responsible for doing our best. And that can be different every day because we are human beings. Our best shows up differently depending upon what's going on in our world. But if we are tapping into agreement number one, then being my best is still always going to align up with who I say I am, right? So this is a tool, again, that I utilize. I don't care how old my clients are, or whether it's an organization or individuals. This is a tool that I believe has been very helpful with a lot of my clients. And they always come back and say, oh, I read this and I bought it for my family and now we're reading it together. I've used it with my own family, my own mother. I gave it to her. I'm like, I think you should read this. And so she read it and she's like, oh my God, I wish I had this years ago, right? It's just a very useful tool in this journey of a thing that we call life, right? I don't think this is it. Okay, so what have I tried to say, right? What have I tried to say to you all today? I've tried to say that as you are working with your children and as you're working with students and how to learn how to have courageous conversations, it first starts with the self. It first starts with understanding who you are and making sure that you're able to manage your own emotions, your own words, and your own ability to communicate in a way that is fruitful and restorative, and not one that calls people out and creates further escalation of situations. The second thing is that, and you do that through these sort of 4 agreements that we've talked about, being impeccable with who you say you are, not taking things personal, not making assumptions, and doing your best. And then as we do we approach situations, we have the courage to speak up and speak out and to ask people, what is it, first to express how something has hit you, right? What you said, speaking in I languages, what you said has hit me and I am feeling hurt, or I am feeling annoyed based upon what you, so I would like to understand what it is, and being able to ask those questions. Also, creating an atmosphere and an environment where others feel like they can also be allies when they see things that are not nice or correct, especially those who have privilege. And I've used athletes as an example, because oftentimes kids look up to athletes in a way that they may not look up to other kids. So athletes joining in, or people or other faculty, if they're hearing faculty say things that may be out of order, them jumping in and coming and advocating on behalf of a student, other students supporting each other. But at the end of the day, helping your own children to learn how to advocate for themselves in a way, with the support of you, taking their lead. Let me say it again, taking their lead, and not you jumping in and taking over, but allowing them to decide how to move forward, and supporting them in a way that is healing and helpful, but also maturing and helping them, because at the end of the day, they're going to go off. And so they need to learn how to advocate for themselves. And then we need to learn how to listen to our children in a way that helps to make sure that what they need is not what we think they need, but what they need through them telling us what they need, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to open it up for questions, comments, thoughts. Oh, you guys are a lively bunch, aren't you?
Hi, hi, Dr. Colley. I just wanted to say thank you so very much. It was very informative. I appreciate all of your insight. And I definitely will reach out to get those slides. I thought that some of the things, everything that you were saying, some of the things hit me really like to the core. And I really want to make sure that I share those things with my 283 student that's going to be preparing to go to college. And just even now, it could be things that he might be experiencing. And I just think that a lot of things that you share, everything you share was really very helpful. And I want to make sure that he has those tools. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Colley. I share Denise's sentiments. I think I'm still a little bit in the digestive stage of the information. And even in my mind, when I kind of like think of situations, I definitely have, as my son has grown up, have had to take that step back and asking, what do you need from me? Right? Because sometimes they just want to vent, and then other times, they may know specifically how you can support them, and then opening the door for them to share what it is that they need from their parent. I've definitely have had to yield to that as he's grown up. So it's an adjustment. But yeah, it's some good insight. I did want to ask you, when a student starts to feel a little too flustered in their conversation, and they are no longer able to control their questions, or they feel uncomfortable with the person's response. If they do ask, what do you mean by that? And the response is still not aligning to make them feel comfortable. What's something that you would say we can tell our students when they share, I couldn't say anything else because I was just so mad, or I didn't want to come across the wrong way?
So thank you for that question. That's an excellent question, because it can become overwhelming when you're speaking to someone who is not acknowledging and or hearing what you're saying. And so the first thing is that I would say that it's okay to be not okay. And it's okay to walk away because self-care is the most important thing. And so if they find themselves in a space emotionally where they're not getting their needs met, they can always walk away, take some time, and then either come back and address it or go and ask for some assistance in how to deal and manage with the situation. But what we never want to do is continue in a space where we are in emotional, because I tell people all the time, when you're in your amygdala, usually good things don't happen. So we want to also make sure that they are in their frontal cortex. So if they're feeling that way, I would just say self-care and safety is most important, and for them to go someplace where they can get that self-care and that space and that safety before they address what if the person is not open to it.
And I think that's a really good point. I'm sorry to cut you off there, because I feel like students need to find that safety person in our building to have those conversations so that they can take a minute, breathe, process, right? And be able to share what their hurt is, and not be afraid to share what that hurt is, or that hurt happened in a space or a place. And then, you know, unpack with that person the process for going back to making sure that they are heard so that we can build back those bridges.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I can't speak enough about self-care, right? And since I have a captive audience of parents, let me put out a PSA about social media.
Yes.
I get that your beloved little ones want to be on social media, but you really need to understand the negative impact it has when they are on it too much, right? We are seeing the amount of depression and anxiety and trauma that we are seeing in our practices. You would be surprised, but the majority of people who are now coming to therapy, so right after the pandemic, it was adults and couples, but now it's children. People are bringing their teenagers and their young adolescents into therapy at alarming rates. And part of it is the social media. This, I need to get clicks, I need to get liked, and so that in such it's too much. I wish that we could get more back to where families were sitting down and having conversations at the table and talking and having game night. And I know that might sound corny to your kids because they play games on their phone. Take walks, right? They need breaks from social media. And the research is coming out about the detriment of starting kids too young on social media. Really, my clinical assessment, kids really don't need to be on social media before the age of maybe 14, 15 years old, right? Because their mind is not developed enough to be able to maturely understand all that's going on and not take it in. And even 14, 15 is young, but I think that's okay. So I just wanted to put that PSA out there. Like, let's manage them up. Yeah. So Stacy says, oh, Stacy's there. She says, I'm a mindfulness teacher. Oh, yes, absolutely. That is wonderful that they have a mindfulness teacher at school. Do all your students go? Do all the students get to see you and talk to you?
I'm not at Central,
Oh, okay.
but I do teach youth,
Ah,
but I'm not at Central. But
yes.
Central, the 11th graders do get a mindfulness program. I think they get a semester of it. I'm not positive, in the health program.
That is yes, being able to center oneself and being present and mindful, somatic I don't know if you all teach like the deep breathing, understanding what's going on in your body, being able to self-regulate. All of those things are very important in this day and age. Absolutely. And limiting the news. I don't watch the news. Limiting the news. So I do hope that this was helpful, and that the information will be able to be utilized with your students. I am always, again, appreciative of speaking with parents because it's hard being a parent. Speaking with parents, especially of teenagers. So, again, I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. And I know I'm at time. So, Rita, thank you for allowing me to come before the board and to speak with them about this. And if you ever want me to come back, I am always open for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Colley, for accepting our invitation. I know you rarely ever have time, so I'm glad, I'm glad that this opening worked out. And thank you for also offering to share your slides. We'll be able to share them out with our parents. So thank you again.
Absolutely. So I will jump off and I'm going to send you the slides as soon as I hang up.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Everyone
Bye.
have a good night.
Thank you. And so the Anti-Racism Network is up next with a presentation. Stacy, ready to take it away?
Yes, I am. Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy Mandel. My son Leo is in 284. And we wanted to share with you, if you're not already aware, that we have a special fundraiser happening right now. It's called Sweets for Scholarships. And this is a fundraiser specifically to reward our Central High School students who fight racism. This year, so in past years, we've done different things. Last year, we had a popcorn fundraiser. This year, we have a bakery, and it's a one-woman show. She's an African-American woman, small business, local here in Philadelphia, Shakira Clark, and she is baking our goodies. So cupcakes and cookies, Lancer bread, which is really like a sweet icing pull-apart bread, some fudgy brownies. She has a variety of flavors, and she's donating 40% of our gross proceeds to our scholarships. So it will go directly into scholarships to reward these students for their work. In the past, some of our students have done things like, founding a magazine, Afrocentric. That was Central's first Black empowerment magazine. They've been served as president of different organizations like the Asian Pacific Islanders Union. They've supported demands from the Black Student Union. They've collaborated to make, an anti-racism symposium and more. So these are just a few examples. It's a competitive award. So we, ask for the students to demonstrate to us how they're fighting racism. And then the committee, the Racism Network makes decisions. And we typically do award scholarships to more than one student. So this is over. The orders need to be placed by this Friday, March 15th. There is a link in the chat box, I believe, right? Jamie Kudera has dropped that in there. And then there's also a way, if you don't want to purchase baked goods, you can still make a donation. You can make a contribution of any amount to the Anti-Racism Network. And Rita or Jamie, maybe you could drop that in there, or if we can't drop it in there, there we go, it's in there. There's a PayPal link. You can also put your name in there and say, can I have PayPal link? And I'll write down your name and I can get it to you. So the main thrust is the baked goods fundraiser, but then we certainly would welcome and would love anybody to make a contribution of any amount, which is still going to go to the scholarships. I don't know if we have any questions. Oh yeah, Jamie raised a good point. If you're making a donation using the PayPal link, you won't see it right away. You have to go into the drop-down menu and then just choose Anti-Racism Network Scholarship.
Thank you, Stacy. Up next, we'll have Nina coming with our treasurer's report. Nina?
So just quickly, we've had a very active month in February with spending money on different school amenities as well as departmental grants. We have here, so we've done the room 40 flooring, we paid for that, and we've also funded grants for the social studies department. They purchased some new tables, work tables that they asked for. The IB department asked for resources to put into their coffers to help pay for student activities in the IB department. We also supported the health center with the purchase of nearly $2,000 worth of feminine products for use by any students at Central, as well as starting to get geared up for the spring auction, of which Robin, who I think is still here on the call, will be talking about next.
Robin, are you here?
Yes, I am. I was just getting
Good to see
everything.
you.
You know, there's always technical difficulties. Good afternoon, everyone. So, or evening, everyone. So fundraising, the current projects were still, department grants are still being funded. I'm very excited. I think the hallway furniture I was told had been ordered, so hopefully that's there and they'll be putting that out. That's for all the students to sit in the hallways because they sit on the floor, so it's furniture for them. And still, so 241 we paid for the floor, so now they're looking at some furniture purchases there, and we're always paying for student events. And upcoming we will have teacher appreciation week, so we buy a luncheon for the teachers. And some other things that happen, and then we're coming towards the end of the year, and so usually each class has some sort of entries. It's time to say that the furniture is there and they're putting it together, so that's very exciting. And as we come to the end of the year, there will be all kinds of events that we also financially support for, like the end of the year events for the classes. So that's, just so you know, that's where all the money that you're donating, you can still go onto the website and donate to the Caring for Central funds as well. So the Caring for Central donations to the HSA, there's the Celebrating Central auction, which is coming up May 4th at the Discovery Center in Fairmount Park. It's where we were 2 years ago. This year we're making tickets $60 each and 2 for $100 to kind of encourage you to get your significant other or get somebody to come with you. Just it'll, the more the merrier. Tickets I'll make an announcement for tickets in about a week or so, and I'll be sending out an email tonight, if people want to donate anything, if you have a restaurant, if all kinds of things. It's just great to have all different kinds of items. So if you offer a service, if it's just all kinds of items go with the auction. So it's great to have anything. So if you have anything you want to donate, that's great. Let us know. We're working on the food. We're probably going to have some sort of Mexican station, some sort of hummus Mediterranean station. So we're working on all that. We have a DJ. So the event is coming together very nicely. And it should be a really fun time. So our goals still are to fund all the 2023 department grants, the student events, and then like the big goal for the auction is we're going to buy JV uniforms. There's some limitations with those JV uniforms, and so the idea is to buy some to allow more students to participate. And then for clubs, we're thinking about getting jerseys for clubs that are going out, like Chess Club was out and they have the debate team, so buy some sort of jersey, some sort of shirt that's not for the individual, but it's something they can wear for, to be a team out in the, when they're out competing, et cetera, et cetera. So and that's all that I have for fundraising. And if you have any ideas, certainly just, email fundraising@centralhsa.org and with that. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Robin. We're definitely looking forward to the upcoming auction. Up next, we have I think it's Terry Jack is here with Campus Beautification.
Yes. So our upcoming events are Central is going to participate in the Philly Spring Cleanup again. That is happening Saturday, April 6th. I think we are going to do 9 to 12 hours again, and hoping to also get some hours in on Friday during after school during the parent teacher conferences, just to open it up to a different time set and some additional people and students. AP Harrington mentioned community service hours. The home HSA can offer students community service hours, so any students participating in cleanups can get community service letter from me. So there'll be I'll send out more details via the home and school Google group list and Facebook page, as well as hopefully the class sponsors will be able to post for the students to see these opportunities and times as well. And we're also hoping to try to fit in another cleanup before that May 6th deadline. So if you're for community service hours, so if your students are looking for hours, there's a number of hours available coming up in April and potentially the beginning of May as well.
Thank you so much. So there are various opportunities that you can volunteer with the Central HSA. And we'd also like to make you aware that in another month or so, we will begin to discuss election for next year. So if you're interested in becoming a part or to serving, please let us know, reach out to us because we definitely, we need all the support to help support Central and its staff and to help things move along a little bit smoother and easier. It makes it easier also on the parents as well. So there are many ways that you can volunteer. For the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next slide with our class representatives. We're going to start with 283. Jamie or Shanice, I'm not sure who's presenting today. We're in your hands.
I'm here. How are you? We talked, this is Shanice, I'm sorry, I should have said that. The ongoing collection for class dues, cash or check payable to Central, and of course you can pay online through School Cash. The 4th Street Cookie Dough fundraiser is happening now. The kids can sell to raise money towards their dues, but it also can go towards other class events like prom or whatever, things that they haven't paid for yet. The March Madness basketball tournament versus the faculty 2831. Battle of the classes, March 1st through April 5th, a bunch of school-wide athletic, strategic, and academic competition. Each class supports its own charity. At the end, half of the money is donated to the charity and the other half goes to the to fund the class. They're having the 4th annual 5K, which is April 5th, and they want registration in by March 15th. They're having another blood drive, which is April 24th. Central Day at Phillies is May 3rd. Is versus the San Francisco, and the tickets are $35 each. You can buy those through School Cash online, and the prom is May 23rd at V. And somebody asked me, I'm going to look at my email, when is the cookie dough money due? Let's see if I cookie dough.
It's due on the 15th of March.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, because I'm like scrolling through here and I cannot see it really quickly. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shanice. Amy, 284.
Hi. Let me turn my. Hi. So junior prom is coming up Friday, April 26th at Hilton at Penn's Landing. It's going to be $90 a person, and the ticket sales begin this Monday coming up, and you can get them through the cash online, or in room 207. I think that's Miss Zesserman's homeroom, and she will give out guidelines then as well. And I'm also going to send out this information and flyer tomorrow. I'm going to send it out to everybody. So cookie, if the kids owe $250 for dues, and this is the same thing as before. If the kids sell, they can sell some cookie dough to help to alleviate some of this money, some of the $250. So if they sell a tub for $20 and they get $8, or a tub for $40 and they get the $16, and that can really add up to help with the cost of the $250. And like I said earlier, the forms are due on the 15th, but the dough must be picked up on March 20th. They don't want it sitting in the school. If you go to your child's 284 page on Google Classrooms, you can find things like scholarships, like this one I have posted. There's all kinds of scholarships, and it also lists what they need in order to meet the criteria. Also very important with 284 is the scholarship match and Big Future. This is a resource that can help guide the kids through applying to schools and filling out applications. You can you can go to this website that I have up here, and you can fill out a free account and get resources from that. I think it's really important right now to get your kids, starting these kinds of things on their own. And then there's also a community service opportunity called the Hot Chocolate 5K. And the kids will just act as volunteers and give out race packets and help during the day, during the race. And that's on April 5th from 2 to 7 if they would like to go and get some hours there, 7 hours if you're there the whole time. And there is a link that is found on the 284 page of your child's Google Classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Debbie, up next with 285.
Hi, so I apologize. I'm outside somewhere. Not sure if you can see me or not because I can't see, but I did turn on the video. We don't have that much. So we have Soft Hop tickets are on sale. I did send out the email. There are only 10 tickets left. If anyone is interested in one, just let me know, or go to Dr. Soto with that. I think it's $60. $65 says it right there. I don't know. Did no one updated my slide? Oh. Huh. I sent all the information on Monday, but my slide was never updated. So I have nothing else that I had. Let me go to email request and find.
Okay. Do you want to send out an email to the 285 parents on the listserv?
No. I mean, they're not here, right? So, I'm sorry. Am I doing something wrong when I'm sending the information in?
I don't think so, but let's discuss offline so we can make sure that your slide gets updated.
Yeah, sorry. I sent it on Monday. So grades closed for third marking period on April 1st. Stop Hops Friday. Multicultural Week will be held at Central from March 18th to the 22nd. Dr. Soto wanted everyone to know that the students have been working really hard to put together a multicultural showcase that the student body will get to enjoy in assemblies. 286 is Monday, 285 Tuesday, 284 Wednesday, and 283 Thursday. Everyone will get to enjoy the hallways, which will be beautifully decorated to represent the various cultures of our student body. Then there's the Central's 5K, which is April 5th, as we know. And then Phillies night, and then also the counseling department would like to make everyone aware of a free online mental health support tool for students called Goop. They've partnered with the School District of Philadelphia to provide no-cost, secure, and confidential mental health support for students aged 11 to 18 statewide. And they can get the QR codes from the counselors. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Debbie, for pulling it up in a pinch on the last minute and stepping outside to give your update. So we'll just make sure that you're on the email to update the slides, or that the email is added in. But thank you for
Sorry, slides come through today because I'm not at a desk at all, so I apologize.
No worries. We'll definitely work on it to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so we're going to 286. Are the representatives for 286 on? I didn't get a chance to see. Just quickly looking at what they have. Pie Day. Okay, so that is tomorrow. Pie Day is tomorrow. They're selling chocolate chip cookies, brownie bites, lots of goodies, and everything is under $3. And they'll be on the second floor in the alcove. I'm sure that students will know that. And they also have an opportunity to nominate a student for a leadership award given by the Emergency Aid of Pennsylvania. The award is only open to 9th grade girls that have demonstrated leadership qualities and have a history of outstanding school and/or community service activity. The application is due this Friday, so please don't hesitate. Say something to your students, your children, so that they can take advantage of that, and/or nominate their friend if they feel that they are a great leader. And Multicultural Week is coming up next week, and if anyone is interested in presenting their day on March 22nd to show their own culture, you can also dress in your traditional clothes and present your culture in the classroom. Please fill out the form. I'm going to assume that the form is probably available on their Google Classroom. So if your student says something, you can remind them that March 22nd is their dress up day to share their cultural dress. And next up. Upcoming dates, as mentioned, just want to pull everyone's attention to our upcoming spring recess. Faithful administration will not be giving any work on that time to give a reset. We won't forget that, and I'm sure our students will be reminding us. And also April 4th and 5th are report card conferences, so you may want to make some plans. We will hear more information from administration about how we're going to proceed with that. And the next HSA meeting is on April 17th. So please make note that it is a different week than it usually is. We've had to make an adjustment. So the next meeting will be Wednesday, April 17th.
Could I make one quick announcement? Today on the parents listserv, I did send out a sign up genius for the Multicultural Cafe that's happening next Thursday on March 21st. The World Language Department, Rachel Rodriguez, has asked for volunteers, parent volunteers, to help support with that. There's shifts from 7:30 all the way till 2:30 that day. Please sign up for this really fun event. Again, I don't have the sign up genius link with me now, but I did send it out via the listserv just earlier today in case you get the digest. So please look for that and sign up. And yeah, thank you on behalf of the World Language Department.
And thank you, everyone, on behalf of the Home and School Association. We appreciate your support. Thank you. Have a good evening, and bye-bye.